the few drops from the ocean of grace. Many people who are attached to the ashram here, been coming regularly, right from the time Bhagawan started, bought this land and started to develop the ashram. Athithi ashram, Swamiji, Shri Hamsananda Ji Maharaj and Soumya Mataji. They have been very helpful, very devoted to Bhagawan. And during the time the ashram was developing and Bhagawan was building the buildings here, if people came, visited, Bhagawan arranged for them to stay in Athithi ashram. They were willing to have them, and they looked after the devotees so well, with love. Now we had invited Shri Hamsananda Ji Maharaj for a Guru Purnima day here to give a talk of his experiences with Bhagawan. Whatever he spoke was very interesting, an eye-opener, and very joyful. Right from the beginning, when the ashram land was bought and the building started, that was also the time Athithi ashram started. Almost simultaneously, that ashram also grew up. And Shri Hamsananda Ji Maharaj used to come to Bhagawan for guidance sometimes, for seeking his blessings more than anything else. When it was built, but there was some more work to be done, suddenly Bhagawan asked him to open the ashram the very next day. It happened all of a sudden, and Swami Hamsananda Ji was at a loss because it was all too sudden and there were many more things to do. More than anything else, he had to put up the steps there at the entrance of the ashram, and he needed the exact size of the granite, and what was more, it should not have any sharp edges, so that people who stepped on that would not be hurt. So he was thinking overnight he had to look for those granite blocks of the size that he wanted, and he was wondering how he was going to do that. So he started to look for it, and suddenly, among the things that have been brought for the ashram itself, he found exactly what he wanted, to his delight and surprise. And then he instantly understood that when Bhagawan said something, he had already taken care of it. The job was already done in a subtle level. And the things that were necessary for it would be available. So it was done in a grand way. The ashram opened. And then Swami went on to narrate 2 or 3 incidents. One day, an old man, someone known to Swamiji, had come from Chennai to stay in Athithi ashram. He was telling Swamiji about his daughter. The daughter had developed some mental problem. She did not know where she was. She was not aware of what she was doing also. And at times she would be blabbering something. So he was feeling very sad about it. So when he narrated all that, Swamiji said, okay, you can bring her here because this is a kshetra. It's a holy place. Tiruvannamalai is a holy place. It's a place of Arunachaleshwara. Maybe if she comes and stays here for 4 days, 5 days, she may develop some clarity in thinking. So the father of the girl was happy, and immediately 3 or 4 days after, he sent his brother along with his daughter. His brother left the girl there and went away. Now suddenly Swamiji found himself burdened with a girl who behaved in a very unusual way. She would be standing in one place for a long time. She would be looking here and there restlessly, blabbering something. And suddenly, she did not know how to handle her. He felt disturbed about this. Just when he was going through this kind of agitation, because he genuinely wanted to help this child of God to gain clarity, and he did not know exactly how to handle her. Bhagawan was coming to the ashram. On the way, he stopped the car before Athithi ashram, sent Ravi, the driver, to call Swami Hamsananda ji. And as soon as he came, he felt such relief, Swamiji, and he started to narrate the problem on hand, like how this girl was behaving and how to handle her. Bhagawan, pat came the reply from Bhagawan. He just raised his hand in benediction and said, oh, she will be all right in a few days. Don't worry. She'll be all right. He gave his blessings and left immediately. So Swamiji was very happy that Bhagawan had blessed the girl and the girl would be all right soon. But 1 day passed, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and 5th day, nothing was happening. So again he was a little disturbed. And then when you were just thinking, what is this? The girl is the same as she came. The car again, Bhagawan's car stopped before Athithi ashram, and he sent Ravi to call Swamiji. And then when Swamiji said the girl had not improved at all, Bhagawan said, oh, don't bother, she will be all right soon. She'll be all right in a few days. And what is more, Bhagawan added, you can ask her father to look for a bridegroom so that she'll get married soon. After that, Bhagawan left, and Swamiji was thinking, my God, the way the girl is, who would marry her? She has not improved even a bit. Now Bhagawan has suggested even marriage for her. And then 2 or 3 days after, one day, morning, Swami was cutting the vegetables. He was single, he was doing many works, kitchen and other places. And suddenly this girl came and stood there at the doorway, was looking on and spoke. She said, Swamiji, you are doing all this work? Swamiji was surprised. What? This girl is speaking. He looked at her, and the girl was genuinely serious, concerned. She said, Swamiji, you are doing all this work. Can I come and help you? And Swamiji felt very happy. He knew there was a sudden change. Just as Bhagawan promised that his blessings had started to work. And then he said, okay, come in. You can sit and try. And the girl was very thin because she wouldn't take food at all. She was very lean and her fingers were all stiff. She could not even hold the knife properly. She tried and she could not do it. And she was a little worried. And she looked at Swamiji, and Swamiji assured her, okay, because you have not been working, they're all stiff. Now if you put your hand in hot water for some time, then the muscles would relax. You would be able to bend them. And then he sent her. She went and bathed nicely. And then when she came and stood before him, he was absolutely taken aback. Because now this girl who had been there, her hair let loose, uncombed, now suddenly she was wearing a good sari, her hair was plaited, and she looked every bit clean and well behaved. He was very, very happy, and he knew that Bhagawan had blessed her, Bhagawan had changed her, and she was becoming normal, like any other girl of her age. And that was the day her uncle chose to come again to visit. And uncle was obviously worried. He told Swamiji, look, some people came yesterday asking for this girl in marriage. But then how can we even think of marriage for this girl the way she is? And then Swami assured him, no, she's becoming normal. Bhagawan has blessed her nicely and she's returning to normal. You just give her 6 months. You please tell that bridegroom to wait for 6 more months and she would be completely all right by then. And then she would get married. Swami Bhagawan had blessed for her marriage also. So this, Swami said happily, sharing the experience with us, that how Bhagavan's blessings worked so powerfully, that a mentally disturbed girl should change all of a sudden and become normal. This was no easy task. This was no small blessing. Swamiji was very moved. And then he shared one more incident with us. One day, the driver Ravi was sent by Bhagawan to fetch Swami Hamsananda ji to the ashram, Yogi Ashram. At that time, Bhagawan was giving darshan in the dining hall. So when driver Ravi went and called Swamiji, Swamiji said, I would walk. Yogiji's ashram is so near, I could walk and come. Ravi insisted, saying that Bhagawan wants you to come only by car. Please come. So when Swamiji entered the dining hall, the darshan hall at that time, Bhagawan was seated there, and in front of Bhagawan there was an older Swamiji, a sadhu, old sadhu was seated. He was blind and he was singing loudly songs of Muruga. He was a Muruga Bhakta. He was singing Tirupugal, and what was more, it was being recorded. That's Bhagawan's command. So when Swami Hamsananda ji came near Bhagawan, Bhagawan said, Swami Hamsananda, will you please keep this sadhu with you in the ashram? It may be difficult, but please know whatever he does there is a great blessing for Athithi ashram. Swami Hamsananda had a look at the sadhu. Bhagawan had commanded, and he had no choice in the matter, and he wanted to obey Bhagawan. He took him. He thought it was easy enough. He was an old sadhu. He could be well looked after, and easily at that. But after the sadhu, he was called Koothadi Swami. Koothadi means one who dances like folks of a village. And the Swamiji, this old sadhu, was taken by Swami Hamsananda ji to Athithi ashram. And then started many experiences for Swamiji with the sadhu. The sadhu was somewhat mad. If he sent some food through some servant woman to the sadhu who could not see, sadhu would eat something and then spit it on the face of the girl. Imagine how difficult it must have been for Swamiji. He would behave violently sometimes, throw away the food, sometimes spitting on the face of the girl. Even that was okay for Swamiji, he was managing it. And then what happened? This old sadhu, in his madness, would collect all those old, torn clothes, make them into a ball, and then he would be tapping the floor. It was making a thud sound. And it was happening all through the night. Imagine all those people who were coming and staying in the ashram there, and this noise was continuously heard. Even that was okay for Swamiji, he put up with that. But after some time, this old sadhu picked up a GI pipe, some 3 feet long, and then with that pipe, it was like plastic pipe, he was making loud noises by tapping on the floor the whole night. Nobody could sleep. And he was doing in such a way so violently that sometimes the floor was coming off in places. So this went on, and Swamiji did not know how to handle it because this old sadhu was somewhat violent and mad. He would not listen to anybody, and he was blind. But then Bhagawan had said, please keep him. Whatever he does will be a blessing to your ashram. So that kept Swamiji going. Well, one day, a child staying in one of the rooms there, some visitors to the ashram, the child started to cry out in fear because the noise was too much. None of those people staying in the ashram had any good sleep for days, for nights, because of the sadhu doing this kind of thing. And one day this child started to cry out of fear. And then Swami decided it was a little too much, that he must somehow contain this old sadhu's gestures. So he came down and then he asked Swamiji, he asked this old sadhu, Swami, what are you doing? Then old sadhu said, can't you see what I am doing? No. Can't you hear? Then he tapped the floor violently and said, can't you hear? No, I can't hear. You see, Muruga, 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 Muruga is coming. It's saying Muruga, Muruga, Muruga. And then Swamiji said to the old sadhu, it's okay, you please stop this. Then this old sadhu got violently angry. He said, who are you to tell me to stop it? I don't interfere with your work. Why are you interfering with my work? Who are you to tell me all this, to stop it? Then pat came the reply. Swamiji said, somehow in a flash, he spoke. This came from Muruga. It is Muruga who said this, to stop it. But as soon as he used the word Muruga, and this is Muruga's command that you should stop tapping the floor, the old sadhu became subdued. Immediately he stopped it. So this reply did the magic. So this was going on for some time, and then one day this old sadhu was not seen. He had run away. So Swamiji started to look for him everywhere. They ransacked the whole place, could not find him. And finally he came and reported to Bhagawan that this old sadhu, this Koothadi Swami, was missing. Then Bhagawan said, he mentioned the name of a village near Tiruvannamalai. You go there and there is a tree, a peepal tree, under which the Swami would be sitting. You can bring him back to your ashram. So Swami Hamsananda went with some people there, and he found, just as Bhagawan described, this old sadhu seated under a tree. And immediately those people had to lift him bodily and bring him to Athithi Ashram. And one day, of course, the sadhu died, but he was very well looked. In spite of all the troubles he was giving, Swami Hamsananda and Soumya Mataji, they looked after him very well. They put up with all the troubles because of their devotion to Bhagawan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Not only that, they were helping all the devotees also. Whoever came at that time, they went straight to Athithi Ashram and stayed. Sometimes Bhagawan himself would instruct them to go and stay there. And after the sadhu died, Bhagawan asked Swamiji to do something to his wife, the sadhu's wife and daughter. The daughter had 2 sons. So Swami Hamsananda settled those 2 sons nicely. One was put in Ramakrishna Mat. The other one stayed with the mother. So you see, this Koothadi Swami was very, very abnormal, the way he behaved. He just didn't bother with anybody. He would do what he wanted and spontaneously, and people had to just put up with that. There was no other go. Swami also said one day something humorous, not exactly humorous either, that when the car came and stopped in front of Athithi Ashram, this Swamiji, this sadhu, old sadhu, was giving a lot of trouble. The sadhu came to know that Bhagawan had stopped on the way at Athithi Ashram. He was there at the gate. Immediately he ran and came to the car and he started to talk. And he was talking so much and so long. Bhagawan was held up and Bhagawan finally sent Ravi inside. And by then Swamiji also had come out. Then Bhagawan told Swamiji, please take the sadhu inside. This beggar has to go. There are people waiting. And then Swami Hamsananda told the sadhu, Bhagawan has to go. There are people waiting for him in the ashram. Please let him go. Then the sadhu insisted, no, how can we let him go like this? You have to give him something. You have to be hospitable. You have to give him something. And immediately Swamiji ran inside and there was some fresh milk straight from the cow shed, not boiled. And immediately he brought it in a vessel. And then the sadhu asked Bhagawan to take that. So Bhagawan drank it up and then the sadhu let him go. So you see how Swami Hamsananda carried out every request, which was no request but an order to Swamiji. He took it upon himself to take care, to look after every detail. And Bhagawan was very fond of him. That Sudama, he would not allow people inside easily. If anybody came to see him at Sudama, Bhagawan would say, please come to the ashram. This beggar would see you there. But he allowed Swami Hamsananda every time he came, he was welcome. And Bhagawan would listen to him, bless him nicely. And even now, those people are very helpful. Whenever the ashram wanted some help, they would do it readily. There was another incident which I spoke about in the morning, which I forgot to mention now, and now it's coming to my mind. In the beginning, when the Athithi Ashram started to run, there was a VIP looking man, a man who was very good looking, looked like a VIP, was at the door demanding a room to stay. Then Swamiji was very doubtful about it. He did not know whether to allow this man to stay or not. So he said, no, you cannot stay here. Then this man, this VIP, immediately asked Swamiji, oh, do I have to take permission from somebody to stay here? And the way he said was not at all right, not at all agreeable to Swami. But then Swami, without knowing, he mentioned, yes, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. You have to take permission from Yogi Ramsuratkumar if you want to stay here. Swamiji said he did not know why he said it. This kind of slipped out. Then this man said, oh, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, I know him very well. Okay, I would take permission from him and come. I would like to stay here for some time. But when he went to see Bhagawan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, even as he was right at the entrance, Bhagawan acted like Rudra. He got so wild, he started to shout. Yogi ji started to shout. He said, "Go away. Don't go to Athithi Ashram. Don't stay there even for a minute. Get out. Get out of Athithi Ashram. Do not stay there even for a single minute. Go away. Go away." So when this man returned to Athithi Ashram, he was pale and trembling, and he left quietly after that. So Swami Hamsananda ji had such interesting incidents which give us glimpses of Bhagawan's grace, how it worked. That Swamiji was saying that such was the glory of his grace, how it worked for him in the most difficult situations. Now that Bhagawan